Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Jocular Junction. My name is Jordan with a silent PH in the middle. We're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons tabletop RPG news and inspirations and things like that. Welcome. We're live today. This show is brought to you by the wonderful patrons and YouTube. What are they called? They're not called subscribers. I totally spaced it. You join as a member. Haha. So members on YouTube. So guys, thank you so much for sponsoring and helping me out. It's awesome keeping shows like this on the air. I'm kind of catching up. So it is 2025, the year of the D&D killer. I don't know. Is that what we're going to call this? With Drawsteel and Daggerheart. And I think that's really the only ones, because I can't imagine Tales of the Valiant superseding D&D, but maybe it will. We'll see. It won't. Let's be honest. But not that it's bad, just that it's too much like regular Dungeons & Dragons, I think. It's too much like 5th edition to actually like replace anything. But I did hear that the Drawsteel final game was released to patrons. And that is like the game without the art, basically. And it's over 500 pages. That alone makes me think it's very complicated. I guess we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go into the game or go into the show, but goodness. I don't know if Drawsteel will be the pick that I thought it was going to be. So, but welcome everybody. So it's the new year, 2025. Do you guys have any goals for your tabletop RPG related goals in 2025? Mine is always to playtest modular D6 some more and try to play. I want to be a player more often. So I've ran a lot of games and I like running games, but I was thinking like it would be nice to just, not nice in like a relaxing way, but like I want to experience the player side of things more and engaging with my fellow players to push the story along and engage in a creative story. So that's kind of my goal, and we'll see. Different play styles out there. I wonder what my play style is as a player. But Drawsteel is out if you're a patron. I talked about that. I don't have it because I am not a patron, but apparently it's 500 pages of hugeness, and that alone makes me think it's very complicated and not going to be as accessible to others. And if it does get popular, it will be popular on the scale that Pathfinder 2 is popular, where it has a very large audience, but it's going to be a niche market, not like a broad open market. And the Cosmere RPG, that's true. Somebody in chat, James in chat, just mentioned the Cosmere RPG, and that's also a big one that I don't know if will be coming out this year, but let's look. So NWorlds, apparently they do this every year, which I kind of stumbled upon this and I wanted to talk about it. The 2025's most anticipated tabletop RPGs voted by you. So we can go through this. I wanted to talk about the top 10 because they have previous years as well. So it's kind of fun to look at this. So, well, actually, let's start with that. So if I scroll down here, so the number one anticipated RPG, 500 pages without art. I'm not sure if that's true. Somebody told me 500 pages, but I also was like, oh, they don't have layout and art done. So I don't think it's just like a straight text document, but like, I need to go look at that some more. So I guess I shouldn't say hard 500 pages because I don't have the actual pages, but previous winners for the last tabletop RPG of the year. These are like, it's just a voting thing that NWorlds has put out in the past, but 2013, it was 13th Age, which is funny that Numenera is number 2 because that was a huge Kickstarter. And then 2015, Star Wars Force and Destiny, Rifts for Savage World. 2017 was Trudvang Chronicles, which I have never heard of. 2018, Vampire the Masquerade, which makes sense. And then 2019, Savage Worlds again. Pathfinder 2nd Edition coming in second there. Dune was 2020 with Vaesen. Oh, the Nordic horror, but Vaesen had already been out for a little bit. Oh, well, also in 2016, the second place was Dungeon or Mutant Crawl Classics, which is kind of cool. And there we go. Oh, and DCC Lankmar came up as well. And then 2021, Dune again. The One Ring second edition, King Arthur Pendragon, Blade Runner 2022, 2023 Pendragon 6th edition, and Dragonbane being the ideal one there. And then last but not least, 2024 Shadow of the Weird Wizard. So let's look at 2025. What are people excited for in 2025? So apparently Starfinder 2nd edition. Now, I haven't played Starfinder 2nd edition. I have played Pathfinder 2nd edition. My interpretation is that the original Starfinder was kind of like, yeah, we're kind of feeling out these new rules, and then they adopted a lot of those for Pathfinder 2nd edition. But they are now updating Starfinder to just kind of match in line with the rest of them. So I don't think it's a hard 2nd edition. I think it's a soft one where some of the stuff might still be compatible, but there it is. Yeah. And yeah, people in chat are saying, yeah, the actual D&D killer is Hasbro themselves, which we'll get to that in a little bit. So I am not excited for Starfinder, but I can see where people are, and it's actually pretty popular. And I remember friend of the show, Lucian, my old co-host, he actually was playing some Starfinder and really liked it. So I do like science fantasy. I feel that Starfinder is more hard science fiction. But I don't know. Maybe I should pick it up and read it. So I could be really good. Maybe I'll find... could be one of the games I could find and play. Alien Evolved Edition. So I know the Alien RPG is quite popular. Somebody was telling me they like it. Actually, it was Lex Mandrake was telling me that he thinks that the Alien RPG does Alien better than Mothership. And so that means Mothership might do other stuff better, but he enjoyed the Alien game more than the Mothership game. And that kind of surprised me because I like systems that can do more than one thing, and Mothership feels like it could. I haven't played Alien, but Alien feels like it does, the scary alien cosmic horror well. And then that's it. But maybe I'm wrong. And I need to look into that. So new artwork, new content. Looks like they're just, I don't know, Evolved Edition. Just it's an award-winning RPG. They're gonna make a new version of it. 13th Age 2nd Edition. So I have the first 13th Age, and it is a very good game. I haven't played in it. My friends have played in it. Some friends have played in it, and they loved it. The system itself utilizes it has mechanics built in for you to create yourself a goal, which could be as silly as, I want to be able to brew the perfect cup of coffee, or as serious as like, I want to avenge my father's death. And so, but having that goal, having these like intrinsic things, and if you have a dungeon master or a game master that can incorporate those into the story, it works out really well. I really liked the first 13th Age, reading it, I guess, and I would be very interested in playing this. So, yeah, Matthew in chat says that he loves Alien, but he thinks that Mothership can do the blue collar science fiction better, or at least from a different angle. And I agree. I think the modules of Mothership that I have read remind me of, like, I'm the blue collar worker that's aboard the Nostromos that's getting like pulled like away from mining to deal with something that is unexpected. And Mothership just seems to handle that a little bit better. But again, I need to play Alien because, it's probably really good. And I do have a friend, Dungeon Master, who loves the system. So maybe he'll run it for me. Same guy that ran me through Mothership. Maybe he'll run that for me. Coriolis. So Free League is doing yet another, this looks like a expansion to Coriolis, which is their D6 dice pool system. That's part of, I want to say the Alien franchise as well. I think it's the system they use for just about everything, which is the not Powered by the Apocalypse, but the zombie one. No. Now I got to look it up. What is it? What is the dice system for Free League? I guess it does change. For some reason, I was thinking it was the same one. But maybe it's not. But it's the same thing in Forbidden Lands, Tales from the Loop, Alien. Yeah. Oh, Year Zero engine. That's what I'm thinking of. Haha. Thank you, Matthew. Sorry about that. So yeah, Year Zero is their system for that. Coriolis also feels like a fun sci-fi game that I would be more interested in because it feels like it can do more things than just Alien. Because I know the Alien name is very popular, and that's probably why that game is selling so well. Not one of the contributing factors, we'll say. But it looks like, yeah, there's going to be an expansion to Coriolis called The Great Dark. Dolmenwood, obviously I'm very, very excited for this. Will this come out this year? I'm assuming it is. Yeah, like just OSE being repatched and bundled together seems like it plays really good. So I am excited for Dolmenwood, and just like the OSR to have a setting. I don't know if the OSR will ever get a setting or need a setting, but I think this will be the closest to like we play in Dolmenwood and I can incorporate all of these various OSR adjacent products into my game easily, and create like a map. So I was talking with some other YouTubers, and apparently a couple of them created a world map for all of the Dungeon Crawl Classics adventures. So you take these DCC adventures and you kind of like sprinkle them like, oh, this one's in a mountainy area, we'll put it here. And they like built like a campaign world using those. And I think that's kind of what Dolmenwood can be for us. And then it's not like one person making it. It's, kind of plugged in together. We'll see what the community does. Totally forgot about Terry Pratchett's Discworld. Apparently that was a game that got kickstarted. Modifius is doing it. Should be fun. I have not read a Discworld book, but there you go. Draw Steel, also really big. From what I'm told, it feels kind of 4th edition-y, but that is not a bad thing because a lot of people really like the tactical stuff, and we can play tactical stuff. It'll be great. Of course, Daggerheart, and then Cosmere number 2. And then number 1 is Legend in the Mist. And I'm like, how do I not know about this? So a rustic fantasy tabletop based on the acclaimed City of Mist. So a spin. So this is a powered by the Apocalypse game because City of Mist is. So this is like a fantasy based version of that, I'm assuming. Akin to Lord of the Rings, Princess Mononoke, things like that. So yeah. Oh, Quinn's ran an actual play for Discworld. Okay, then I'll have to check it out. I need to read the Discworld books. Those are actually, my roommate like loved those and went all about them. So yeah, Legend of Mist, the City of Mist. Not whatever, but yeah, fulfilling. Funding period was there, so I don't know when they're fulfilled, but. This will be something I need to check out because it actually looks right up my alley. And I was just talking to somebody about City of Mist and how I think I have mislabeled City of Mist as a superhero game, and it is not, from what I was told. So I was like, well, now I need to go back and look into that a little bit more. So those are the anticipated RPGs. We also have the monster manual coming out, which will complete the 3-book things, and we're going to see how different the monsters are for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. And then with this new monster manual, it's going to be one of those, like, is it going to not invalidate, but it's going to make my previous monster books useless. And I have a lot of monster books because of Tome of Beasts and all those other things. And so I'm curious if those are still going to be useful, and then will D&D Beyond still be useful? Because I noticed that I couldn't utilize some of the new monsters in the beta monster thing. I had to sign up to be a master tier subscriber to get early access to the VTT, and that is where I can run monsters. And I was like, oh, I don't like it. It's too much money. It's too much money. D&D Pinball. So Dungeons & Dragons, in their effort to make money, is pushing out a lot of or they're licensing out the D&D brand to various things. And one of them is D&D Pinball. Now, I don't know. I am not a pinball person. I know that Ted is from Nerd Immersion. He was saying that he really likes pinball, and that he kind of was getting into it, but he's like, I don't need another hobby. This was a couple of years ago that I was talking to him about it. And so it's kind of fun to take some of these pinball machines and then you can augment them and jazz them up and do some soldering and add some LEDs and things like that. So pinball is still very popular, I guess. And they're coming up with new and interesting ways to do pinball machines. This feels very, let's cast a wide net to who wants the D&D license, you know? And these people are like, hey, we build games. You're a game. Let's do it. And it feels not bad. So, this is going to be one of 3 machines. I imagine they're very expensive. I don't even have, is there any kind of, guess we can go to their website, sternpinball.com. I watched the video, but yeah. Which had like a game. Yeah. Pro Premium Limited Edition. So there's going to be 3 different versions, and who knows the difference between them. I mean, there will be differences, but like I'm talking about the price and stuff. Oh, MSRP $7,000. So there you go. Games configured for North America to operate on a 60 cycle electrical circuit. They will not operate in Europe. Interesting. And it says, all access Dungeons Times sold out. The all access limited edition Dungeons & Dragons, the Tyrant's Eye Pinball, which is $13,000, is apparently sold out. I wanted to show some of these videos here because, they have, it seems fun. Like, I'm not a pinball person, but this seems fun. And it seems very, like somebody who loves D&D made this. So there's a gelatinous cube with a magnet in it. So when your ball gets through, it like sticks. There's a dragon head that breathes fire, but it actually breathes, the, extra pinballs. So like when this happens, you have like a whole bunch of pinballs. So if you're into pinball, it seems like it's kind of a cool system. There are a bunch of voice actors that go along with this. So they got Michael Dorn from Star Trek to do the voice of the dragon. Laura Bailey, Luke Gygax was there. He's doing one of the voices. And a whole bunch of the Critical Role cast is doing voices. Now, on top of that, you have a character that you choose and you can level them up. So if you get like the premium and the pro edition, they have this little screen that pops up. And then with the screen, you get to have a character. He goes on a quest. Apparently you can save this quest. Like you can save your progress and come back to, I assume, the same machine, but he did show that there was like a little phone. So I'm like, can you save your progress on like a little, I don't know, RFID tag something on your phone and then load it in here to like progress to where you need to go? Just seems kind of cool. So there's going to be like little things you can you can level up your character and stuff like that. So I don't know. Like I said, I would be curious to play this at a pinball arcade, but I'm not going out of my way to drop $7,000 to $13,000 for something that's going to sit in my basement. It's just not my hobby. Which, funny story, I was in a pinball arcade at Gen Con and ran into Joseph Goodman of Goodman Games, and I introduced myself, and he's like, hey, and I just popped in and I saw him, and I was like, oh, I'll go introduce myself. So I said hi, and he's like, oh, hey, and we chatted for a bit, and then he's like, do you like pinball? And I was like, no. And it just like killed the conversation. So I was like, I should not have been honest in that instance. I should have been like, yeah, it's kind of cool. Like, what's your favorite thing about pinball? But I was just like, no, it's just not my hobby. But apparently he really loves pinball. So if you want to get in with Joseph Goodman, you can talk about pinball. When will the DCC pinball system come out? And the 0 level funnel will be 16 balls that all shoot out, and there's a giant pit in the middle of the board, and your goal is to have one of them not fall in that giant hole and be eaten alive. Sailors on the Starless Sea, Pinball Edition. Goodman Games, you get on that. That sounds like it'd be really, that would be hilarious. So, and then slot machines. So this is why I think the D&D pinball is not as cool as some people are like making it out to be, or really as cool as that video is. Like I was like, this is cool, like D&D pinball. I'm like, that's fun, because they're also doing it for slot machines, and not just like regular slot machines, but online like gambling slot machines. So I've got a link here to a gamer article about it, and they're the license holder. They are partnering with a game called Games Global, and Games Global is a synonym for online gambling, and they're going to do Dungeons & Dragons Tales of Riches, which is a slot game developed by another company, and it's going to be online. So I don't have any pictures or anything of this. It just feels like it is, I don't even gamble. And so when I first heard about the online slot machines, I was like, oh, this is going to be in Vegas. Like it's an actual machine, like the pinball machine, where you sit down and you play games, or play a slot machine. But no, it's online. And so that's where I was like, I really wanted to find more information on this, but it just feels pretty scuzzy. So we can go to their like regular one here. But yeah, they've partnered. We don't have any like photos or anything. It's just like, it's the first of many exciting releases and collaborations with D&D. And gambling is fine. It's not for me, but online gambling feels like it's very predatory. Well, gambling in general can feel very predatory, but I just didn't see to really like this. So we don't have any photos or anything. Somebody on Reddit was saying, not Reddit, somebody in one of my Discords was saying that I'm sure there's Monopoly online slot machines. I'm sure there's Clue online slot machines. Like all of these franchises, or all of these licenses that Hasbro owns, I'm sure they've done this before. And so it makes sense from them to be like, we have a license, we do this, right? It makes us money. But yeah, I don't know. This just feels off. So this is from the press release where it says, celebrating its 50th anniversary of 2024, Dungeons & Dragons has captivated fans across generations and has become a cultural phenomenon. As part of Hasbro's year-long celebration of this milestone, Games Global will harness the world's greatest role-playing game to create an immersive, high-engagement slot experience, giving operators a chance to tap into the global fan base. That feels like the most scummy thing I've ever heard. Because, like, this is not something that it's like, yeah, we love Dungeons & Dragons. It brings people together. It's like, you know, educational, all this other stuff. And you could lose all your money to gambling. That's good, right? No, not at all. So it feels really scummy. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Yeah. And to market it with their own, this is a celebration. Like, we're making this out of like, you guys love D&D, you asked for this, we're doing it for you, is kind of the vibe that I get from that press release, and it doesn't sound good. And then this person on, this is from the article that I'll have linked down below, but somebody on Reddit said, hey, they own the IP. They can do what they want with it, I guess. It's just irritating that they're trying to sell it to us as some sort of celebration of D&D when we all know that it's nothing more than a cheap cash grab trying to claim otherwise is really insulting to our intelligence. And I guess that's the thing where I'm like, that press release wasn't made for people who are actual fans of D&D. I think they're made for investors to be like, oh, look, they're doing something. That's great. Oh, it's part of the anniversary. Oh, it is the 50th anniversary. I'm glad they're capitalizing that. And it always comes down to money, capitalism, where there are people at Hasbro that really care about Dungeons & Dragons, I think. And they've used the platform of like, they've used the words, we are the stewards of the game, and that the game is bigger than Hasbro. but in their minds, it's not. It's just another thing that they collect. So, yeah. So anyway, that is that. The other sad thing that's happening is the Dark Alliance servers are shutting down. So this game is only 3 years old. I didn't even think about it. So I got a free copy. I shouldn't say free. I got a copy from a friend who had extra copies given to him for review. And I think it is nigh impossible to play Dark Alliance solo. So they gave out multiple like keys to say, hey, go download this game. I couldn't really get through the tutorial because it wasn't my style of game. But I also just I needed friends to play with. They weren't on at the same time. It was one of those things where I'm like, I don't know. I just don't care about this. So I never really played it. And now the servers are shutting down, which is one of those things like if you bought this, it will be unavailable. It's going to be pulled from the store on the 23rd. And then you won't be able to play it as of the 24th. And I think that's really dick too. Like if they have an end date, they need to pull the game now rather than like maybe getting people to start playing it or like selling it for a month. That just feels really scummy. But I am also not part of that business, so I don't really know. But yeah, so Dark Alliance servers are shutting down, which means that you can't play the game that you bought. I know people are probably upset that they have lost, that they can't get a refund for the money. But I'm assuming these are shutting down because nobody is playing it. But from what I heard, that in the latter stages of the game, it was not tested properly, and there were lots of difficulty problems. So this is not a surprise to me, but it's another like frustrating, sad thing that's going on in the world of Hasbro. So good times. I bet everything. Yeah. Chibi Disciple says, probably a last ditch effort to minimize their losses with the game. And I was like, no, and that's like, everything where you have everything is minimizing losses and maximizing profit. So how do we do that? Like there's just teams of people that are constantly doing this. So, exactly. And it's got to be a big slap in the face to be like, we're shutting down Dark Alliance servers, but, Baldur's Gate 3 is still doing really well because they're treating people well, is what it feels like. So, shifting away from the news, I want to talk about crowdfunding and deals. So it's the beginning of January. There's not a lot of crowdfunding that I was excited about, and I only like to highlight things that I'm interested in. I think in February, we'll see some more stuff pop up. I know that Dungeon Denizens 2 by Goodman Games is going to come out, which is another monster book for 5e that they're going to kickstart. The first one, I believe, is shipping now-ish, so I should get my copy soon because I did back it, and I'm excited to kind of flip through some of those monsters, especially for the DCC side. Like, I've never just had a DCC, like, monster book, and that is something I want to do. So, but crowdfunding and deals, they're all, anyway, more stuff should come later on, I'm sure. And once we have the actual Creative Commons license for the new 5e, there will be so much stuff. I can guarantee you people are writing right now so that they can just like drop their Kickstarter once it's available is how I think it's going to happen. But I did find this. So this is a tarot coin collection. I like tarot art, the original. Oh, Zine Quest is going to be in February too. Thanks, JP Couvert. I forgot about Zine Quest. That is also coming up, so be sure to check out Zine Quest and be sure to check out JP's channel because he makes really cool stuff. So the tarot coin collection, I am not associated with this in any way. I just thought it looked really cool, and I like collectible. First of all, I like coins and tokens to use at the table. And I also like props to use at the table. And this kind of felt both of those niches. So the idea is that they have some of the art from the public domain art of the tarot cards, and they're going, the original 1909 art, and they're going to put these on some, like, I don't know, brass or something coins. And so you have these nice little coins that you can use. They're relatively big. They look kind of fun. So this was all I got. It was kind of it wasn't like, I wanted to say this was I had to dig deep to find this one, but I did dig for a while looking for something that was like, that looks really cool. And this is what I found. So, but if you're interested in this kind of stuff, it seems fun. Like, they're going to do, these are the sample designs. This is not the finished concept. In fact, I couldn't find any pictures of the coin like done. But it does seem fun. So if we actually get, cause this is just a visualization of the coins in a wooden chest. I don't even think you get this chest, but I'm not selling you guys on this very well, but that's okay. But I like the idea of these coins. It's really fun. Oh, and they made a previous project. Okay, so their previous project was the Seals of Solomon that they put on coins. So this is that same company. Okay, and those were really cool. I think I actually talked about that Kickstarter as well. So these guys know what they're doing, and they'll be able to deliver on this, I'm pretty sure. So if you're interested in some tarot card coins, you can check it out there. So design and inspiration. Reading Aid here in the chat was actually saying that they were upset that Dungeon Denizens 2 is announced before the first one is even in the hands of backers. And that is true. I wonder, Goodman Games, I wonder if they are, because I know a lot of these companies, they use the Kickstarter money to actually like build and fulfill the project. But like Dungeon Denizens is like done now. They just need to get it out to people. So there's a lot of people that are like sitting on their hands. So they're just like, well, we got to start the next project. So, but it feels weird to announce a Kickstarter before the last one is in the hands of people and people can be excited about it. But I wonder if there's a psychological impact of this, of like, hey, people who missed out on the first one should jump on the second one, kind of a thing. I'm not really sure if there's like a FOMO thing there, but it is weird. And it's not the first time they've done this. And Monty Cook Games has a habit of this as well, where before I have the product that I kickstarted, they're already asking me to back like 2 more Kickstarters. And I'm like, well, can you deliver on the thing that I asked for in the first place? And then we'll talk, kind of a thing. It's how I feel. But I know that they're a business and they're trying to do their stuff. So design and inspiration. So I've been playing a lot of video games and I've been reading some stuff, and I wanted to talk about it. So with Modular D6, I was thinking about this idea of action points, and I can't remember if I actually talked about this on air or not. I think I have, or stunt points, something like that. So to keep it simple, I wanted to have like, what is a spell slot-ish system that I could have that would allow you in Modular D6 to do something cool, and then you expend that resource and it's gone. But I don't want it to be mana points and things like that. So with a level cap of 10, I thought the idea of like, what if you have an action point equal to your level? So if I'm level 5, I've got 5 action points that I can spend. And then I have particular modules that utilize action points. So I can spend like, hey, I want to do I want to do a fire attack. And normally my fire attack, I fire my wand and it hits somebody like a single target with fire. But I say, I want to spend an action point to make it into a cone to hit like 3 or 4 people. And you're like, okay, cool. So you spend that action point. So at level 1, I can only do that once per like game session or once per long rest. But at level 2, I can do it like twice now, and I can do it 3 times now. And there will be other things that I want to spend my cool things on. And this could also come down to just increasing my magic. So like a fire attack into a burning hands cone, or it could be, I'm going to use my sword, but I'm going to spin in a circle and hit everybody all at once. And I've kind of got this idea of like hitting multiple targets at one time will cost a action point. And I got this idea I don't know exactly where, but it's kind of a simple thing to remember. Like if I'm level 4, I have 4 action points, and then I can utilize them to do X, Y, and Z when I play the game. Well, if that wasn't enough, I was thinking about re-rolling dice. So I've been playing this funny Fox game for 5-year-olds with my 5-year-old, and it's basically like a watered down version of Clue. So somebody stole your pie, and a fox stole your pie, and you have to figure out which fox took the pie. And you do that by rolling dice to say, I want to look for clues or I want to look for suspects. And all of the suspects are on the table face down. And when you roll for suspects, if you succeed, you get to flip over some suspect cards and you can see the foxes that are suspects. And then when you search for clues, you go find a clue and you line it up with something to be like, does this clue match any of the foxes on our table? And this is where it's kind of like Clue-esque, because you'll be like, oh, your fox has a monocle. Or the fox that stole your pie has a monocle. So then you look down, you're like, well, I can get rid of all of the suspects that don't have monocles. And it's that kind of game, and it's for kids, so it's really, really simple. But something I liked about it is that you roll 3d6 trying to get a certain icon on the dice, and you can re-roll failures up to 3. And if you don't get all of the ones that you need, then the fox gets further away and it's harder to like finish the game. And it's all like a collaborative, cooperative board game. So there's no, like if the fox gets away, we all lose kind of a thing. But that idea of like spending an action point to just kind of re-roll dice, because my brain is so locked in with advantage, disadvantage, and rolling one die to get a check, that switching over to this D6 system has been, I don't know, little things that are very simple pop into my head being like, that solves a lot of my problems. And I know that there are other D6 games that, do this all the time, where you can like, oh, you can re-roll this. I know specifically Forbidden Lands has that, where I can take a negative consequence to re-roll certain amounts of dice to see if I get a better one, but if I don't, and that's like the risk and reward. But I kind of like this idea where it's like, I have a resource that I can use to really like, I really needed to land that attack. I'm going to spend an action point to like re-roll. And then that also is like, do I want to do more damage, or do I want to be able to use my action point to do the cool thing later on? And then the big question I've been having is, should action points reset on a long rest, or should they reset every session? So you come to the session, you show up, and you have levels worth of action points, which in my mind would keep the game to be like, I should save my action points till the end of the session, where we're probably going to like shoot off a bunch of spells and fight the big bad and like get to the bottom of the dungeon. And then it's like a fun resource management, because it'll all come back on the next session wherever you stop. But for right now, at the end of the session, there's probably going to be a big fight. And I'll just have to do some more playing to see if that works. And that might just be how my play style works out, not necessarily how it'll play out. So we'll see about that. And then I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about, in one of their black hack games, they have this magical substance called ink. And it's kind of like a retro, not a retro, but it's kind of a science fantasy post-apocalyptic world. And they have these vials of ink. And it's really this magical residuum that they use. And they take this ink and they can use it to power certain devices or things like that. But the character, he was saying that he was like a warlock, and he actually would aerosol this ink and huff it, and that would give him like a connection of magical energy that he could then cast a spell. So his spell slots were really tied to these like vials of ink that he has, that the party could also use to power certain machines. And I don't know, my mind just kind of went crazy with that. I was like, that's so cool. Like, I want to be able to do something fun like that. So it made me think of like Numenera and stuff. Like, you have these fun words for this magical thing. In 4th edition, I think they just called it residuum, which was like taking the magical properties from one item to another. And this kind of goes into Caves of Cud, which I'll talk about next. But with the magical substance, you can take that and take an item, like a regular item, and have it mimic that item. So now you have 2 of that item. Or if you want to take it and mimic a magical effect, you could do that. Either way, it's like gone. So anyway, I like the idea of calling it ink. It's just this like, I don't know, it's kind of a fun thing. So that's something that I was thinking of. I've been playing a lot of Caves of Cud. If you guys, this game is now, it's been in pre-release for a long time. It's now out. Version 1 is out on Steam. It is a like text-based looking kind of old dungeon crawl in the style of NetHack. It's so cool though, and it has, because of the low graphics, it actually has a lot of complexity to it with both the story and gameplay. Just yesterday I was playing and my character contracted a disease that I lost the ability to see color. And I was like, what is happening? And so my entire screen went black and white. And then I didn't realize how often or how much I relied on color. Because certain monsters, when their health is lower, they'll turn red. Or you know that is a vat of acid and not a vat of like salt water because of the color of it. It was really disorienting, and I was like, this is the kind of stuff that I want in tabletop RPGs sometimes. Like, how do you convey that to your player of a funny disease that's like, oh yeah, you contracted this disease and now you can't see color? Like, I don't know. I really like the open world exploration of Caves of Cud. And it's been inspiring me a lot. Partially, there is a gel. It's like a morphogenic gel that I found that I can have that gel touch any other item in the game and it will create a duplicate of it. And so it's been fun to take like my very expensive rocket launcher and I can touch it and then all of a sudden, whoa, I've got two rocket launchers. So you don't necessarily lose out on selling something, or if something breaks, I have like a backup or something like that. And it reminded me of like ink and things like that. And so Caves of Cud, really interesting diseases and stuff. I found one, I caught one disease where my tongue fell out. So I had a sore throat and I was like, I don't know, I've got a sore throat. And then after a while, my sore throat got worse and then my tongue rotted away. And I was like, well, that sucks, but I'll continue on with the game. The problem is I couldn't, because every time I would talk to NPCs, it would just be like blah, 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 because I can't form words because I don't have a tongue. So I had to do this whole side quest of finding a book that had the recipe for the cure. And then I had to find the cure, which involved combining 3 different ingredients into a canteen, lighting that canteen on fire and drinking from it while it was on fire. That healed the disease, or got rid of the disease. But in order to regrow my tongue, I had to go find either a pod or there's an injection that will regrow body parts. And so I had to find that and regrow my tongue. And that's happened twice now. Twice I've lost my tongue and I'm very frustrated by it. I was like, I got to stay away from these disease swamps, I guess. But pretty interesting game. If you want some inspiration there, I actually am having a lot of fun with it and playing. I put this link down below because finally I remember reading it back in the day, but Bone is a, let me see if I can find like Bone comic book. Yeah. I think there's a big, I think there's actually like an anthology of Bone where it's the entire series is in one thing. So Bone is written by Jeff Smith, and it is it feels very cartoony, I guess, when you are looking at the covers, but it's really dark and it's very like, yeah, it's got some really interesting art, and it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just dark and interesting. Like, I really enjoyed this when I read through it. The omnibus edition is available now, yeah, and all 55 issues are in one book. It is a monstrous book, so it's not like, I don't know, they really crammed a lot in there, but it is totally worth it. So Bone is an interesting thing where you have these like kind of Saturday morning comic, cartoony looking characters who fall into this like super fantasy world full of danger and knights and princesses and stuff and dark evil powers. And they are out of place there in more ways than one. And they're trying to save themselves and others and help people. It's just a really beautiful comic. And I saw this video. So I'm going to click this and then hopefully mute it really quick. Yeah. So this is a fun video by Matt Comic and Manga History. And it's a video essay on Bone. So they made a funny point where they're like, in 2023, Marvel and DC sold less than like 4% of the comic book sales. And you're like, but you're Marvel, like you're DC Comics, like shouldn't you be selling all kinds of crazy comics? And then this big green blotch is the manga sales. So like comics are popular is what they were saying, but like this red and blue is Marvel and DC. And they're like, what's this other like huge comic thing? And it turns out that it's like Scholastic Books. They sell so many comic books, but they sell them as like graphic novels. And they're not ones that you think of. You don't think of like superhero comic book heroes are in these Scholastic Books, but like Captain Underpants and I bet like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, maybe. I'm trying to think of some of those, but getting kids to read. And this video was so interesting because he talks about, trying to see if I could find some cool art. Yeah. So he talks about, not it's the seller's market. It's not from comic shops at all. Yeah. But watch the video and you'll get more information than I will. This entire video reminded me of, well, let me back up. So the original guy who wrote this, he really valued what he was working on, and he thought there was an audience for it, but he couldn't necessarily find it, and he kept searching and searching, and he didn't give up on his vision. Like a lot of people were like, don't make them so cartoony because it doesn't fit with this other stuff. And he's like, no, I've got to do this. He had a really particular vision, and it did catch on eventually. The main takeaway from this, I think, is that this comic books in the 80s and 90s, the industry of comic books in the 80s and 90s feels a lot like the industry of tabletop RPGs now, where you have DC Comics and Marvel Comics, and they're huge. And then you have these weird indie creators that are doing new and interesting things. And it feels like that with Dungeons & Dragons. Like D&D is big and huge and is carrying a lot of like the interest in RPGs. But over here, like the real interesting stuff are these little people that are doing kind of odd one-shots and like OSR adjacent this and like a game about vampires on a cruise. And I don't know. It gave me fun hope for the future where I was like, not everybody will go out and buy your, silly little RPG about owning a Chinese food shop with vampires attacking it. But maybe in 10 years, the audiences will actually be there and will understand how to utilize this art form, and it might blow up a little bit. And so it did for Jeff Smith, and he was very successful with Bone, and it got to a lot of people, and it was really awesome. So two things: I will encourage you to read Bone because it's phenomenal, and I think as a tabletop RPG DM, you will be inspired a lot by the world and the art and just the cool story. And then secondly, give this video a watch and see if you agree with me. If like the current indie sphere of tabletop RPGs feels like the indie sphere of 80s and 90s comic books. Cause I kind of got that vibe when I watched this video. It was just really, really interesting. Really cool video. And then finally, my games. I'm running Spelljammer. I started a Spelljammer game last Saturday. We're playing again today, and I'm pretty excited. I'm going through the Spelljammer Academy, which is on D&D Beyond, and it's a very fun adventure. It fits the vibe of what my players are super excited to be a part of, which is kind of like episodic monster of the week, dealing with things, and then just exploration and things like that. So I started creating a campaign book, and I've done this for a couple of 5e games that I've ran where I wanted to have resources with me. So it's a lot of like printing tables and putting them in a book. And then it's also just blank pages for writing down my thoughts and stuff like that. So I have this book that I started using that was a gift to me. And so I started writing down some of this stuff in my campaign book. And then I remembered that Beetle and Grimm sent me this book. So this is a, it's backwards because of the camera, sorry. But this is the Game Master's Journal. And I wonder if I can go to, can I do full webcam? Yeah. So this is the Game Master's Journal, and it's like a corkboard thing. And this is not a promoted product or anything. I'm not like, oh, you should go do that. But I finally found a use for this. So I can sit down and I can write out my characters. There are pages for key locations to sketch out. There's like a place to write the timeline of the world. Session logs are here at the end. There's plot hook generators. There's all kinds of stuff like that. And yeah, this is like a cork board, and the cover's just really cool. And Beetle and Grimm, they make fun stuff. So I like it. And then I think when I'm done, I'll have this cool, like, Game Master's Journal thing, you know? I'll be able to like hold on to that and be like, this was our Spelljammer campaign, which I have that for my previous ones, but they don't feel, they're not like tied to a physical book. And so I don't know. I'm just kind of like excited about that, and I'm jazzed that I have this book. So I spent the day kind of like porting over the stuff from my old notebook into the new one, and then also deciding on NPCs and who's going to actually be like an important character in their lives throughout the gameplay. One of the fun things right away is that their teacher at Spelljammer Academy, one of the session trainers, my friend was like, well, can that be like my aunt or uncle? And I was like, oh yeah, like it totally can be your aunt. Like, why not? And he's like, yeah, and I'm here because like my parents put me here because I'm lazy or something. And I was like, that's awesome. I love that. So we took that and we kind of put it into that. And so already I've got like, okay, your aunt is a trainer here and is really frustrated that she has to like kick you into gear because you're lazy and stuff. So we're having a good time. We're using the new rules. I don't think my players are reading up on the new rules as much as I am. So this might just kind of fall back into a regular 5e game. We'll see. But we're gonna try it out and play around. It's gonna be fun. Got a couple GIF and a plasmoid, and I don't know, just like they always like being weird creatures. I don't think we have any humans in the, yeah, there are no humans in the campaign. So everybody wanted to be a weird, funny thing. So Matthew says, I started a journal where I pull an idea from every movie I watch, just a single bullet point from each movie. Maybe it's a plot, maybe it's a magic item, inspiration, or whatever. And that's a really cool idea. And I think having something, keeping paper on you to be able to do that is important. And then having something like this is also kind of fun to just like, yeah. And then when you go back, you can look at it and be like, oh yeah, I did want to utilize flying cars to go underwater and battle a giant octopus. That sounds like really fun. So, create a campaign book. I think it's really cool, and I have a lot of fun. And then I have like a memento after the campaign is done. Although it is sad, I guess, when you create a big campaign and then it fizzles out, but hopefully that won't be the case. Thank you guys so much for watching. JP, thanks for coming out. Elder Goblin Games, thank you also for coming out. It's good to see you guys. I enjoy both of your channels a lot. For my regulars, like Gary, thank you guys so much for coming out and watching. We're live Saturday mornings, usually live. Sometimes it is a pre-recorded premiere, but if you want to catch the show live, you can come over to YouTube and watch us at 9 a.m. Pacific time on Saturday mornings, and we just kind of chat about games. I want to thanks again to all my patrons and YouTube members for supporting me and all this other fun stuff. I hope you guys have a good week. I will be back next week, and I am working on Dying Earth module reviews, and also Greyhawk lore videos. So hopefully more of those will be coming at you in the future. Until then, everyone, take care, play games, and I'll see you guys next week.